Jalan.
Jalan mang.
Today, I would like to present title classification of natural resources. Definition of biotic. Consisting of living organism, an ecosystem is made up of biotic community full of the naturally occurring organism within the system together with the physical environment associated with of these derived from living organism. The biotic factor in an environment include the organism themselves as well as such item as predation, competition for food resources, and symbiotic relationship compare abiotic. Biotic component or biotic factor can be described as any living component that affect another organism or shape the ecosystem. These include both animals that consume other organisms within the ecosystem and the organism that is being consumed. Biotic factor also include human influence, pathogens, and disease outbreak. Each biotic factor needs a proper amount of energy and nutrition to function healthily. Biotic components are typically sorted into three main categories: producer, consumer, decomposer. Producer, otherwise known as autotroph, convert energy through the process of photosynthesis into food. Consumer, otherwise known heterotroph, depend upon producer and occasionally other consumer for food. What about decomposer, otherwise known as detritivores, break down chemical from producer and consumer, usually antibiotic, into simpler form which can be reused. Example of biotic factor. Example of biotic resources include all the living components present in an ecosystem. These include producer, consumer, decomposer, and detritivores. Example of biotic: plant, animal, fungi, bacteria. And that's example of biotic factor. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Ridzuan. Definition of a biotic: non-living as a biotic factor with a non-living physical and chemical attribute of a system, not associated with derived from living organisms. A biotic factor in an environment includes such items as sunlight, temperature, wind, and precipitation. Compare biotic. A biotic serves as a component of degradation and correction by physical and chemical process such as hydrolysis. A biotic a biotic factor fall into three basic categories: climatic, adapt, and social. Climatic factor include humidity, sunlighting, and factor involving the climate. Adapting refer to to soil conditions. So adapt a biotic factor includes soil and geography of the land. Example of biotic: water, the make of the water, how it move and how available it. Sunlight, the the amount and intensity of regular sunlight exposed, or oxygen, the concentration and availability of it. So, the make pressure and availability of it. Temperature, the actual temperature of the environment and the way its routine change. That's for me, and I pass to Izdal Alif.
Okay, renewability of natural resources. Renewable resources, renewable power is booming as innovation brings down costs and start to deliver on the promise of a clean energy future. American solar and wind generation are breaking record and being integrated into the national electricity grid without compromising reliability. This means that renewables are increasingly displacing the fossil fuels in the power sector, offering the benefit of lower emission of carbon and other type of pollution. But not not all sources of energy marketed as renewable are beneficial to the environment. What is renewable energy? Renewable energy are often referred to as clean energy. Come to from come from natural source or process that are constantly replenished. For example, sunlight or wind keep shining and blowing, even if availability depends on time and weather. Non non-renewable resources. Non-renewable or dirty energy includes fossil fuels such as oil, gas, and coal. Non-renewable source of energy are only available in limited amounts and take a long time to replenish. When we pump gas at the station, we are using a finite resource refined from crude oil that's been around since prehistoric time. Many non-renewable energy sources can endanger the environment or human health. For example, a relay might be required strike meaning Canada's border forest, the technology associated with fracking can cause earthquake and water pollution and coal power plant for the air. To top it off, all this activity contribute to global warming. Example, non-renewable resource. This is example ya.
No.
Carbon management. Type of greenhouse gas and their global warming potential. Greenhouse effect that set Earth's temp temperature over geologic time. Small change in the atmospheric concentration of this gas can lead to change in the temperature that make the difference between ice gas when mastodons roam roam the earth and the sweltering heat in which the dinosaur live. Gas gases that trap heat in atmosphere are called greenhouse gas. Type of greenhouse gas. carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide enter the atmosphere through burning fossil fuels, coal, natural gas and oil, solid waste trees, methane. Methane is emitted during the production and transport of coal, natural gas and oil. Nitrous oxide. Nitrous oxide is emitted during agriculture, land use, industrial activity. Fluorinate gas, hydrofluorocarbon, perfluorocarbon, sulfur hexafluoride, and nitrogen trifluoride are synthetic powerful greenhouse gases that are emitted from a variety of industrial processes. Carbon footprint. A carbon footprint is the greenhouse gas GHG emission caused by an individual, event, organization, service, place, or product expressed as carbon dioxide equivalent. Greenhouse gas, including the carbon-containing gas, carbon dioxide, and methane, can be emitted through the burning of fossil fuels. Land clearance and the product consumption of food manufacture, good material, woods, roads, building, transportation, and other services. The term was popularized by $250 million advertising campaign by the oil and gas company BP in an attempt to move public attention away from restricting the activity of fossil fuels company and onto individual responsibility for serving climate change. Carbon sequestration. Carbon sequestration is the long removal, capture of sequestration of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere to slow or reverse atmospheric CO2 pollution and to mitigate or reverse climate change. Carbon dioxide is naturally captured from the atmosphere through biological, chemical, and physical processes. This change can be accelerated through change in land use, use and agriculture practice such as converting crop and livestock grazing land into land for non-crop fast-growing plant. Artificial processes have been devised to produce similar effects, including large-scale artificial capture and sequestration of industrial product CO2 using surface saline aquifer reservoirs, ocean, aging oil field or other carbon sink. Next. Carbon stock. Tropical natural forests hold large store of carbon and biodiversity and are critical for millions of endangered, indigenous and local people who depend on forests for their livelihood. However, this carbon is released and biodiversity is lost when these forests are cleared, otherwise known as deforestation. The high carbon stock approach is methodology that distinguish forest area from for protection from degraded lands with low carbon and biodiversity values that may be developed. The The methodology was developed with the aim to ensure a practical, transparent, robust, and scientifically credible approach that is widely accepted to implement commitments to halt deforestation in the tropic, while ensuring the right and livelihood of local people are respected. Carbon sink. A carbon sink is any reservoir, natural or otherwise, that accumulate and store some carbon containing chemical compound for an indefinite period and thereby lowers the concentration of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Next, carbon capture and storage. Carbon capture and storage is the process of capturing and storing carbon dioxide before it released into the atmosphere. The technology can capture up to 90% of carbon dioxide released by burning fossil fuels in electricity generation and industrial processes such as cement production. Next, carbon offset. Carbon CO2 can be captured using different methods. The main ones are post-combustion, pre-combustion, and oxy-fuel. Post-combustion technology remove CO2 from the flue gases that result from burning fossil fuel. Next, carbon trading. Carbon trade is the buying and selling of credit that permit a company or other entity to emit a certain amount of carbon dioxide. The carbon credit and the carbon trade are authorized by the government with the goal of gradually reducing overall carbon emission and mitigating their contribution to climate change. Carbon neutral growth. Carbon neutrality is a state of net zero carbon dioxide emission. This can be achieved by balancing emission of carbon dioxide with its removal, often through carbon offsetting, or by eliminating emission from society. The transition to the post-carbon economy. Yeah, I will pass to Zulfikar.
Okay, carbon footprint. Carbon footprint is total amount of greenhouse gas, including carbon dioxide and methane, that are released by our action. Lowering individual carbon footprint from 60 ton to 2 ton don't happen overnight. By making small change to our action, less eating, less meal, talking, less connecting, flat and line debit or close, we can start making a big difference. Next, how to make sure my personal carbon footprint. The carbon footprint is very important means to understand the impact of a person. This is why someone who actually went to contribute to stopping global warming. At least one individual need to make sure and keep track of their personal carbon footprint And here is where online collect come in. For instance, by using the carbon footprint calculate from WWF Terapass. You ask to provide track of information, right? How you commit to work, what you read, how much you drive or fly, the size of your household, or what type of electricity the grid provides you. Next. Okay, let's see this video. Okay, this is our my sumber. Next. Okay, thank you for the watching. Okay, boleh stop record.
Bodoh Izdal.